Gentlemen, episode 111 of the Questions Hip Hop Trivia. I'm your host, Sean Kantrowitz at Sean Dammit. Listen, we've had a lot of great people on the show in the past. This is episode 111. We're not new to this, but today I'm really thrilled to welcome. He is a producer. He is a DJ. He is a hip hop connoisseur. He's one of the modern day greats. I was just telling him before we came on. Show your love and make some noise for special guest today, Statik Selektah. Stat, what's good, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm great. Great as can be right now. It's crazy times, but happy to be here. Happy to have you here. Yeah, we're gonna get into this. Shout out to everybody watching. We've got people tuning in right now. We shout out to everybody on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram Live. If you're on Instagram, hop on over to one of those other ones. You'll get a better view and you'll be able to chat with us here in the chat. We got Statik Selektah in the building. Stat, how, it's crazy. This year is now almost done. How would you summarize your 2021?
Man, just like it's a transition period, getting used to, this new world and, a lot of back and forth with what was going to open and what's not going to open. And I think, the whole world's in a transition period, getting used to this new way of life. And, hey, man, I can't complain. We're here. We're breathing. A lot of people ain't.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here to talk about you. We're here to talk about your career. We're going to geek out just as some hip hop listeners as well. And also, it's a trivia show. There's been over 100 guests who have preceded you. So we're going to see how you stack up against them. And I always like to say, we sort of have a policy here that can go two ways on this show. We've had some guests who completely want to go solo dolo, and if they know it, they know it. If they don't, they go down with the ship. And then we've had others who they like to rely on the chat. So we don't judge either way. I'm just letting you know that it's an option. Solo dolo. Listen, I'm not even telling you to make a decision now, but you're just saying fuck it. You're solo dolo game. All right. I appreciate it. So he's gonna go solo dolo. Let's get into it. We're gonna get into our first round. The first round is our general multiple choice round, and it is called The Choice Is Yours. Stat Select in the house. Here we go. Question number 1. Which of these Wu-Tang Clan members was the first to drop a solo album after the group's debut, Enter the 36 Chambers?
Yo, it's funny because I just looked at the TV and it literally says Wu-Tang American Saga. I was just watching the new season. Nah, that's easy, man. Method Man.
We didn't plan that, folks. This is just serendipity. He says Method Man.
I don't need a TV show to tell me that one. Like, I was there. I was outside.
He was there. He was outside, and he's absolutely right. Method Man. So yeah, you have it in the background, and there's a few different connections there. Obviously, you've worked with many members of the Wu-Tang. You worked with Joey Badass, who was on the first season of Wu-Tang. What do you think of that Wu-Tang show?
It's cool, man. It's obviously very sensationalized. There's a lot of exaggerations and all that, but I like it, man. I like the way they take the rhymes and make it into like parts of the episodes and all that. But it's funny because I just shot a video with Dave East and Nimlo. It's off a project I got with Nimlo coming real soon. And in the video, I just seen the first cut of the video. The first record he pulls out, we're in a record store. And the first record he pulls out is Method Man. And Dave's like looking at me like, oh, that's crazy because, he plays him in the show.
Right.
So and my daughter's in the video too. So when I started watching the Wu show earlier, she sees it. She's like, "Oh, I was just with him." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, she's so smart. So shout out to Method Man, who I just did a song with this week as well, and Dave East and Joey. Joey's no longer on the show though because he's on Power now. So
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw they're switching up. I got to go back and revisit because, at the time that season 1 came out, it was right around the same time that the Showtime documentary came out. And I was kind of like, I loved the documentary. And then like the Hulu show was something completely different. And I think I was like more
appeal for that too. I'm connected to it in like every way possible. Shout out to
You are in the 36th chamber. You are absolutely there. Have you ever, you said you've done a video, like you've done lots of videos, and obviously, Joey did, the Hulu show, and now he's doing Power. Have you ever, is there a world in which Stat Select gets his acting swag on? Have you ever thought about that?
I've acted in a lot of different things. Not a movie yet, but I've been in from TV to videos, like just here and there, very, very seldomly, but I've done it.
All right. And is it comfortable, or do you kind of like it because it
Yeah, it's
pushes you
cool.
out of your comfort zone?
It's cool. I just don't want to be like playing. Like if I ever was to act, I want to like play somebody. I don't want to play myself. A lot of hip hop artists get caught playing themselves, like literally playing, not like playing themselves disrespectfully, but like playing a character that's them in real life anyway. You know.
Right, right. So don't play yourself by playing
That's why I'm
yourself.
so proud of Joey, man. The way he's doing his role in Power, like he's playing a drug lord from a time before he was even born, and he's killing it, man. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, he's absolutely killing it. You're right. All right, we're gonna move on to the second question. Doing well so far. Question number 2. In 2003, this underground rapper sought to bring balance to the game with an album that had the same name. Was it Acrobatic, David Banner, KRS-One, or Shabazz the Disciple?
I believe Acrobatic.
He says Acrobatic. He's thinking about it. Let's see if he's correct, folks. Acrobatic is correct.
I did street team for that album.
So yeah, I brought this up. I kind of had to throw this in. We had to give a nod to the Boston roots. What was it like at that time? Were you living in Boston still at that time?
Yeah, 2003. I actually was my last year there. But if I'm correct, the song with Illmind's on there, "Remind My Soul."
Remind My Soul. Yeah, that was his
That's
probably his
that's the
biggest
first
song.
time I ever heard Illmind, and that's my favorite Acrobatic song of all time. That's actually one of my favorite Boston hip hop records of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. I know that he's kind of been less active in recent years. I know he's done teaching and stuff like that. There's obviously been a slew of great talent to come out of Boston. I'm sure that you could speak on that a bunch. But I'm assuming you kind of felt like you had to make the move to New York, but by that point, right? Like it was just
Yeah,
time
I
for your
hit my
career.
glass ceiling in Boston. In 2003, I felt like I just hit it. Like I felt like I did everything I could have done there as far as DJing and like putting stuff out. I think like New York was actually the goal to begin with. And my last year of high school, I decided to go to school in Boston, college, and it is what it is, part of the story. But New York was always the goal.
Yeah, well, it worked out. Things worked out. All right, we're going to move on to question number 3. Kanye West recently featured Marilyn Manson on his Donda album, but he's not the first rapper to collaborate with the disgraced shock rocker. Who was the first? Was it ASAP Ferg, DMX, Eminem, or Gucci Mane?
I'm gonna say Eminem, but the DMX is a maybe. But I think it's Eminem.
All right. They all, believe it or not, they all have worked with Marilyn Manson. I'm not making any of these up.
Okay,
He's been
yeah,
on
I
all their
believe it.
Projects.
But
So
you're
he's going.
saying, you
Who's the
said who was the
first?
first?
Yeah, the first to do it.
Eminem.
He's saying Eminem. Let's see what the answer is. Believe it or not, Stat, the answer is actually
I'm about to take it to the crib.
DMX off the second album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. That's fine. I mean, Marilyn Manson trivia is not something that we all need to be super up on these days anyway.
I'm not a big fan of Marilyn Manson, period, so it's all good.
What's your take, or do you even have a take on all of the big albums? I don't even have to refer to them, but the big albums that everybody's talking about right now, is that stuff, as a DJ and as somebody who's tapped into this culture, how much do you sort of feel like you have to check for this stuff? And
it's my responsibility.
Your responsibility.
Absolutely.
So
I'm excited.
you'll check it out.
I got excited about really everything that's been coming out, but I think Kanye's album layout was real interesting. I've seen him do so many different things to get people's attention, and this one it unfolded cool. I liked seeing the records go through different phases. The Drake album is I think a better album, but Kanye got some records on there. Neither one of them am I excited about the way that I would get for like a Kendrick or obviously a Hov or a Nas. I was way more excited for Nas than anything, and shout out to Hit Boy. It was a dope album.
Yeah. And there's kind of whispers and rumblings of the fact that we are getting a Kendrick album soon.
No, we are. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. My
I actually
hopes
had an
are still high.
opportunity to link up with Kendrick last night, and I was on my daddy duty, so I didn't get to do it. But we make sacrifices to do the right thing. But I want to connect with Kendrick ASAP. Like he's one of my favorites. So, and I've known Kendrick since 2000, maybe 8. I've known him for a long time.
Oh
so
wow. early.
Hopefully, he's on my bucket list of people that I haven't necessarily. And I did a Black Hippie record, but he was the only one that wasn't on it.
Ah, the one that got away, right?
Yeah, I love that new video he just dropped with Keem. That really dope.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to move into question number 4 here. Question 4. Which of these breakfast cereals does not get referenced by LL Cool J in Mama Said Knock You Out song, Milky Cereal? Was it Cheerios, Frosted Flakes, Grape Nuts, or Lucky Charms?
I would say Grape Nuts.
He says Grape Nuts. You remember the song, but are you a guy who remembers all the lyrics, or is this more of like a deductive reasoning thing?
I'm doing deductive right now, but I definitely remember the song.
All right, he says Grape Nuts. So we're going to actually hear and listen what got mentioned in the song. Frosted Flakes.
She took me to a club. I think the name was Cheerios.
Cheerios was mentioned.
I would kiss the neck, kiss the back, kiss the arms. I said, forget it, let me see your Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. So Grape Nuts is correct. Deductive reasoning for the win. Shout out to songs about cereal. I mean, he was talking about it. It wasn't just about cereal, but
especially back then, ain't no rappers talking about Grape Nuts. It's not a thing to talk about in hip hop.
Probably still not a thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, God knows, someone put their single out and called Grape Nuts. Who knows what's going on nowadays? But back then,
they will. Maybe we'll be able to get some publishing on that now if they saw this first. We can,
First single off my new album.
Great. Are you a big cereal guy? Are you fuck with cereal?
I'm really not, but shout out to Reese's Puffs, man. We just did a whole campaign where you can make beats with their cereal boxes now, and I got this sampler. It's crazy. They made
beat. I saw Hit Boy had that, right?
Yeah, it was me, Hit Boy, Jetson made, and I believe Tinashe did a clip with it.
And is it its own proprietary thing, or is it like a reskinned like MPC or something like that?
No, it's its own thing.
Oh wow!
I've never seen, like, the buttons are literally. It's not even set up like any other sampler, but the buttons are literally like pieces of cereal, like rubber pieces of cereal.
What?
It's pretty crazy.
Are they trying to get into the beat making game, or is this just like
they were doing a giveaway, and I think they want people to download the app where people can make beats with the cereal. There's a literally on the back of the cereal box, you can line your phone up, and it's like augmented reality where you have a beat machine. It's pretty dope. Shout out to Reese's Puffs.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, look, we started this part saying that there would never be a song about grape nuts, and now we're talking about using the Reese's the beat machine. So you never know, right? All right. Well, Doing well so far. We're going to move on to our second round, and the second round is called Picasso, baby. Oh, but before we do, we had some questions. I forgot about this. We got questions from people, so I'm going to sprinkle them in throughout the game here. So we have a Word Up Q asked us, Boston or New York hip hop? This kind of plays back to what we were talking about earlier. What's your preference?
I mean, everything that influenced me to even get into hip hop at an age before I even knew there was Boston hip hop was New York hip hop. So New York is the home of it. Obviously, I love Boston hip hop. It's my heart, but New York hip hop is and you could ask me any other place in the world too, and the answer would be New York.
Yeah, I mean, New York is sort of the Mecca. It's where it all came from.
Anyone from Boston that ever did it went to New York to get on, from Ed O.G. to everybody who ever did it, especially the early ones. Like, shout out to all the pioneers.
If you had to like summarize what Boston hip hop, like what characterizes Boston hip hop, how would you describe it for somebody who wouldn't know?
It's a prideful thing. I mean, we're a city that's not too far away from New York, but it's like, we always have that struggle of getting the respect in New York. So the artists that really did go from Boston to get that respect in the magazines and be in The Source and XXL and be on MTV and BET and just get that respect to be on, Stretch and Bobbito back in the day, and then later on Future Flavors and Hot 97 and just everything is like, that's the stepping stones of doing it, like really doing it. And, I think the same way Boston is with their sports teams, they are with their artists. And it's just, we're very prideful of it, man. And like, there's just so many things that separate Boston from the rest of the East Coast, from the food to the attitude to the, like I said, pride. So shout out to the whole Beantown.
Yep. Shout out to Boston. Shout out to all the dope artists from there. All right, we're going to move into our second round. Second round is called Picasso, baby. So in this round, I'm going to show you a small piece of an album cover, and you have to identify what the album is by the little piece of it that you see. Let's go. What album is this? Is it Dr. No's Experiment by Oh No? Is it Rock Marciano's Marcy Beaucoup? Is it Murs and the Grouch, These Hands, or is it Step Brothers, Lord Steppington?
It's definitely not Step Brothers. I'm gonna go with Rock Marciano.
He's going to Rock Marciano. It's a good thing that
I knew it looked familiar.
you've worked with Rock Mars before.
Yeah, of course.
What is it like working with him? Because he seems like he has such a like sort of weird mystique, and like he's like almost,
you know what I'll give him? Like, he's very, very picky with beats and all that. Like he's come through and I've played him a bunch, and I think to this day we only have like 3 songs together. But you know, we spent a lot of time together out at rap camp when Alchemist used to do that at his crib. So it'd be like me, Action, Freddie Gibbs would come through, Mac Miller, rest in peace, would come through. You know, Rock would be there. And it's funny because the first song I ever did with Conway, just me and Conway, is called Birdie. And that beat I made for Rock while he was there at Alchemist's spot. So it's funny that years later, you know, he didn't use it, and the Conway heard it and just went in on it. So that I always, you know, credited Rock for that, because he heard me making the beat and was like, use that. So but me and Rock have known each other for many, many years, and you know, I respect the lane that he, you know, pretty much created the lane that all these guys are in now, like the whole new wave of rap. So I love it, man. Shout out to Rock.
Kind of, for lack of a better term, you know, like I like to say, it's like the drumless hip hop, you know, like beats that don't need drums, which I used to really irk me.
The first people doing that to me were you know, like RZA and Muggs did it early, but I feel like with Ka, shout out to Ka from Brownsville, him and Rock Marcy like brought it to another stratosphere, you know, and then Alchemist really mastered it as well. And then now we got Griselda and what Ransom's doing and what all these people, you know, there's just a whole new wave of it. And Rock Marcy is the blueprint to that.
As a producer, is that, or was that difficult for you to sort of embrace? Because so much of what defines hip hop production is like the banging drums, right? The drums that really knock.
I'm a drum. I'll always use drums. I probably, out of thousands of beats I've made, probably like less than 10 have no drums, and that's even pushing it. Like I use drums on everything. So it's just, you know, I come from a Pete Rock, Primo, Q-Tip mentality. So I always have drums in mind. And you know, if it's gonna have the certain funk to it, it's gonna have drums. But you know, the way they turn it into a whole new art form is amazing. So I respect it.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely something different. It is to be respected for sure. And like, it's cool to see. Yeah, you're right. Even though Rock didn't necessarily like innovate it, he definitely helped, you know, carry the flag.
He turned into a lane. Like he brought it to a certain level where it became a whole new wave in hip hop. He made the wave.
Totally. Absolutely. All right, we're going to move on to our second question. What album is this? Is it High Tech, High Technology 2? Is it Joe Budden, Halfway House? He knows right away. What am I doing? I'm trying to ask Stat about fucking High Tech albums. High Technology 2, the chip. What's your favorite High Tech beat? Gun to your head.
A good question. I think I'd be dead already. My favorite High Tech beat would probably be Respiration, maybe, or I mean, the Blast is like an easy answer. I love the Blast.
Right.
Blast is up there.
Both
I
great
love
picks.
the whole Reflection Eternal first album. I love the first Reflection single. The first Reflection Eternal single. That's one of my favorites. What was it called?
The 2000 seasons?
Fortified Live.
Fortified Live.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love High Tech. I love both of his solo albums. On that album particularly, I love Music is Life with Nas, and what an incredible producer. And I hope to hear more. High Tech's actually a good friend of mine, and anytime I reach out for anything, he holds me down. But I would love to hear more High Tech music. So,
also low key, kind of has produced the most popular Anderson .Paak song in his career. Like people kind of forget that.
Well,
that
yep,
he'd
yep,
come down.
yep.
Yeah, he's had an incredible run,
Crazy.
obviously, from the Raucous era to his work, in Aftermath and some of the
Longevity
more
is
major
crazy.
label stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Was I imagine you mentioned Pete Rock earlier, so I imagine he would be one of the influences too. But like, who were the people that you sort of looked to for inspiration when you were creating, and putting out your own albums? Like the producer album is something that has existed for a while, but there's so many, there's a lot of people who have done it, but it's not that super common. So who are what are the records that to you are like the blueprints for you?
I'm not even gonna say I had a producer to look up to for that. Even I'm a producer DJ, so it's different. It's like
Right.
I think I approach things is different. Obviously, Pete Rock, Soul Survivor was like a game changer in my life. Even though he didn't produce the whole album, Tony Touch first album was like all his albums, but his first album particularly, Tony Touch changed the whole game with the Peacemaker.
Yeah.
That is right there for me. I'm trying to think. I mean,
So it's kind of more
Khaled
like
actually.
it's kind of more
Khaled
like
is a
almost
big
a
influence.
DJ perspective from you too, like
Yeah.
almost as much like a mixtape
So right
than
at the
just like a
time I was
producer.
working on my first album, Khaled's actually on my first album, but right at the same time, it was like I was going down to Miami a lot, and watching Khaled go from this radio club guy in Miami to having these hit singles, and throughout both of our discography, I think he has 10 albums or 11 albums out now. I'm
Yeah.
working on my 10th one now, as far as separate from all the collaborations. But I always kind of was like the grimy version of what he was doing. I produce and mix and master all my shit. It's a lot different, the process, but
Sure.
it's more about the hustle of getting all those artists on a project. Khaled is like one of the illest to ever do that, especially with the names he gets. So shout out to Khaled. Tony Touch definitely influenced Khaled. Funk Flex, but Funk Flex was playing a lot of records on his albums that were like old school records, so it's different. Tony Touch was the first one to me to drop a whole album like that with all those people. Like Tony Touch is the answer to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are some good picks. And people, I think Khaled is an easy target at this point because he is so like big and commercial, but a lot of people don't know that Khaled was and still is, but maybe not in the public eye,
real
like a
deal.
legit DJ, or the real deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was in Florida at the time.
Hustle alone, he might have the illest hustle in the history of hip hop. Like for real. Khaled, he's a genius, man. So shout out to him. And he's a real genuine person too. Like he's not one of these industry cats that gets on camera and smiles and all that, and off camera he's like that. He's really that dude. Like I watched it from day one. I remember him. He pulled up in a brand. We were at the Make It Rain video shoot, Fat Joe's record, and Khaled's like, he pulls up in this baby blue Bentley. He's like, yo, I just got this. This is my first Bentley. He's like, get in. It's just me and him in the car, and we're driving around a movie lot. And he's like, let me play you the song, man. He's like, I'm about to take over the game. And he played We Taking Over, the joint with Akon and Lil Wayne on. And he's like, bro, watch what I'm about to do. And here we are, man. He did it. Like, he didn't just, it's hard to put out album after album and holler at, over 20 artists on every album, 30, 40 on some. It's like, Khaled never stopped, man. You got to respect it. You got to respect the hustle. Even if you don't like the sound or the style, you have to respect it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great points. All right. We're going to move on to the final question in our second round. What album is this? Is it Talib Kweli, Prisoner of Consciousness, Soul Position?
The Owners.
He says the Owners. He's going right for it.
You didn't even have to put the options.
You just instantly recognize those speakers. Favorite Gangstar album.
I worked that.
Favorite Gangstar album.
My favorite Gangstar album is by far Moment of Truth.
You can't be mad at anybody for picking in the pool of like, the 3 to 4,
I mean, the top 3 and 4 is Moment of Truth, Hard to Earn, Daily Operation. I would put the Owners up there, but a lot of people would say Step in the Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Gangstar, man. Like, it's the blueprint.
That last album that they put out last year, or maybe 2 years ago, that wasn't bad either, especially for a posthumous album.
The way that I heard those records come together, like Primo would call me and play me 3 or 4 at a time, and I'd just be like, it was so reminiscent of the way I was hearing the Tribe records. Like Q-Tip, one day I pulled up to his crib and I thought he was going to play me his album that he was working on, that he's still working on, and he starts bringing up the channels on the. He got this big, SSL board, and all of a sudden Fife starts rapping. And I'm like, oh man, it felt like a truck hit me. I had no clue that was gonna happen. And I'm like, you got a joint with Fife? He's like, nah, bro, we finished the album before he passed. And my mind was just like, and these are like, Tip is family, and I had no clue they were working on it. Like they kept it so secret, man.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's incredible. That's another great album. Both of those albums are, I think a lot of times posthumous albums have gotten a bad rap because, there was a lot of ones that came
the Tribe
before.
album wasn't though.
Right, because they were working. It was pretty much done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. We got some more
Primo
questions.
had a real challenge.
Yeah,
none of those records they actually made together. Primo had to make those.
But you know what? He did a damn good job with it because it doesn't sound hacked together. You're a producer. Obviously, we were going to get some producer questions, I'm assuming from, aspiring or other producers. So we have questions. What is the best DAW, digital audio workstation, in your opinion? And what equipment or gear do you use / advice to upcoming DJs, producers? Give us a little tour on what's in the Statik bag. What do you use these days?
I'm gonna answer the second question first because it don't matter what you use. Like everybody has their own thing. I watch people use all kinds of different devices and come up with amazing stuff. So there's no perfect answer to that. It's whatever you're comfortable on and a lot of times it's whatever you learn on, you stick to. But my answer to the first question is Pro Tools is by far the best digital audio workstation. And I've been making beats and everything in Pro Tools since 2005. And I'm just stuck in it. I know Ableton does crazier stuff. I know there's so many different things out there, and I'm just stuck in my ways. So I'm all Pro Tools dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about finding what works for you and just running with it. Because I know people who do amazing things with things that seem unlikely, and then people who have what's allegedly the best, and you hear it, and it's like, so it's really more about the artist than the paintbrush that they hold.
I see a lot of people in these like beat ciphers now using the SP808 little Roland samplers, and it's funny because I used to make my beats with that in 98, 99, and the way I was doing it, like looping over and over and building on it, it was like everybody was looking at me crazy every studio I went to. And now it's crazy. I go to all these events and everybody's using it. It's crazy.
Right. It's always the people who are the first to do things or use them in a different way. Like I remember when like everybody was clowning Ninth Wonder for using a laptop, and
they were clowning them for using Fruity Loops, not for the laptop. It was for the Fruity Loops. And now look, everybody's using Fruity Loops. A lot of people, it's normal now. Back then, we were like, you use Fruity Loops? Like I remember like it was yesterday. And look what he did with it. Shout out to Ninth. He's still on it too. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, well, that's a good segue because now we're going into our third round, which is called
My man still digging in the crates.
Digging in the Crates.
Yeah, I'm still digging.
So this is our sample round. I'm going to ask you a question, play you a sample, and you have to tell me the answer regarding the sample. So here we go. Knots by Gentle Giant was sampled on a single by this group in 2016. I'm going to play you the Gentle Giant sample, and you tell me who sampled it.
All in all, each man.
Run the Jewels.
He says Run the Jewels.
What? Hear what I say.
Run the Jewels is correct. You've worked with Run the Jewels. You've had them on at least one of your albums, right? Or more than one, actually. Two of them?
Just one, but I've known LP and Killer Mike for a long time. I'm actually going to do a charity event tonight with LP's company. So shout out to LP.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I mean, what's it been like for you? You've known them both for a while. Obviously, being in New York for as long as you have, I'm sure you ran in a lot of the same circles as L. Everybody knows Mike's been prolific. Their story is it's super inspiring, first of all, just to see people kind of change the narrative and break out in a way that I don't think anybody was expecting. Even huge fans of both of them, you wouldn't really expect this turn to have happened, right?
Right. I mean, it's amazing. I don't want to get too deep into it, but Elle really told me how it all started. And we were on tour in Australia together. And we were kind of like the only two that wanted to go out and party and whatever. So I think we went to the casino, and he broke down to me like the whole story. Because, I knew Elle very, very, very little back in the Def Jux days. But My first placement, I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school. I did scratches on Mr. Lift's album, and it was on Def Jux. So I was telling Elle that, and he didn't even know that. He was bugging out because that was one of the early releases on Def Jux. But the way he like kind of lost everything and got, you know, he was almost like ready to not even do the shit anymore. And Killer Mike asked him to produce an album for him called Rap Music. And the way they came together and just created that sound and turned into a group, and it's all about reinvention, man. They found like another life in it, and the way they came back is so crazy because both of them were kind of down and out, you know.
Right.
Like Mike was down with Outkast, LP was, you know, basically lost it all doing this label, trying to take care of people and all that. And the way they have the reinvention's everything, and it reminds me a lot of like with Czarface too, with Southern Esoteric and Inspector Deck. Like,
right,
the way those guys found their thing at such an older age is really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great inspiration, whether you're in music or not, that, you know, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. A lot of times people say you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, and they mean that in a heavier way. But like, also, you don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, just keep, you know, plugging at your path. I got to rewind though for a second. Which Mr. Lift record did you cut on? Was it the I Phantom or was it the Emergency Ration?
Enter the Colossus. It was Enter the Colossus.
The early shit.
Yeah, I did scratches on a song called Pulse Cannon.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Wow, so that I think that was, yeah, man, shout out to Insight. That was one of like really the first Def Jux releases ever. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And me and Elle were bugging out when I told them that. And I remember they spelled my name right. They spelled my name wrong on it, and that's why that was like one of the big reasons I started calling my shit Spell My Name Right.
Makes sense. That's crazy. Wow, little nugget, little gem there. I didn't think we were even going to touch on. All right, question number 9. The scratched hook on Dilated People's Worst Comes to Worst is taken from this Mobb Deep song. I'm going to play you the sample, or the Dilated song.
It's going down, y'all.
What Mobb Deep song is it?
If I fuck this up, I'm going to be so heated, but I want to say Survival of the Fittest. It's either Shook Ones or Survival of the Fittest.
All right.
But I'd say Survival of the Fittest.
I usually tell people to go with their gut, so let's see what's what here.
When worst come to worst, my peoples come first. Try to
Absolutely correct. Survival of the Fittest.
I would be very upset if it was Shook Ones. Because you know the only reason I was hesitant is people never let, I know Havoc's whole verse on it, but no one ever lets Havoc's verse play on Shook Ones. So I was like,
right,
you know what, got to be Survival of the Fittest because everybody plays it more, at least Havoc's verse.
Absolutely. There was good reasoning there. I mean, listen, you're a producer. The producers usually do very well on this round. It's the production round. Shout out to everybody on Twitch. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. I see you guys all in the comments. Appreciate you, everybody tuning in. We're getting a little scene change over here with Stat. We've got a mobile.
And I would get in trouble for having this tattoo if I got that wrong.
Oh yes, incredible. All right. We're going to move on to the final question in this round. Which of these artists was the first to sample the amazing Rhythm Aces' "A Jackass Gets His Oats" drum break? I will play you the drum break in question. You have to tell me who sampled it first. I believe you've touched those drums before.
Yeah, is it Ghostface 1?
Are you saying what?
No, is it Ghostface, the song 1?
I can't confirm or deny, Stat. This is, you know, we've got.
I'm saying I'm going with that.
Oh, you're going with Ghostface. Okay, got it. All right. Well, we're going to take a little trip back in time. We'll go in reverse order. So all these artists used it. First up, we had in 2008 on his album, DJ Muggs.
Oh, you know what?
From the concrete claw. Self-talk. The time is an illusion. Reality is a...
Planet Asia used it for. Next up, 1999, we had Arsonist on their song Venom from the first album. Finally, in 1998 on the song Milk the Cow, Capadonna,
Let us milk this cow the best way we know how.
which means that the first to use it in 96 on the song Fish.
We eat fish,
Oh,
draw
fish.
salad to make rap balance. The biochemical slang lord, or throw that.
So I got it,
Two
but I had the
chops.
wrong song. But that wasn't part of it.
Yeah, it's fine. We don't penalize for guessing the wrong song. Hold on, I'm having a little mic issue. My mic's bugging out for a second here. We're gonna go into one final question for you before we hit the final round. This is something that we were talking about on Instagram today. Name a sample in a hip hop song that led you to discover that sampled artist or genre. As a producer, you obviously listen to a lot of records. You sample a lot of stuff. Have you ever been put on to an artist, like really become a fan of an artist or a genre based on it being sampled?
All the time. All the time. Yeah, absolutely. That's a hard one because there's literally hundreds of answers.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, I wanted to have some meaning behind it. I could name a million, but I would say I'm gonna just keep it simple because it's like my favorite song of all time. But Bobby Caldwell, "What You Won't Do for Love."
Crazy. Yeah. When did you realize that Bobby Caldwell was a white man? That's another like mind-blowing moment as well.
Really early because I had the vinyl in the '90s, so I was a kid.
So you knew. It was still
Yeah.
probably a little shocking, but this
Not
every couple of,
really.
no.
I think it's only shocking for people that like didn't know their whole life, and then they find out when they're like older. But nah, I knew early. I can't hear you. Still can't.
All right, now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ableton. We were talking about Pro Tools, and Ableton got jealous, and it's bugging out on me right now. But you can hear me fine now, right?
Yeah.
So we have reached our final round. The final round is called Time's Up. It's our speed round, and you will have 90 seconds to answer 5 questions in the category of your choosing. Here are tonight's categories. 2011 was a decade ago. Producer compilations or third album vision. You get to pick which round you want to go for in this final round, Stat.
2011 was a decade ago.
2011 was a decade ago. What was your life like in 2011? What do you remember about 2011?
It was really fun, man. Like that was a time where if you came to the crib, like you would bump into Freddie Gibbs, Action Bronson, MOP, Saigon, Slain, Term, of course. Like the whole show off crew was in there, but like there was so much emerging artists coming through there, like on a regular basis. And then 2011, shit, Mac Miller, rest in peace. There was just so many. It was crazy, man.
It was a great
Crazy
time.
times.
It's crazy to think that was a decade ago. Well, does it feel that long ago for you, or does it feel like yeah?
It feels that long ago.
Yeah,
It feels that long ago.
life is different now for you.
Yeah,
Life
a
is
lot
definitely
different,
different.
We were wilding back then. I'm pretty sure it's different for everybody that I just named than back then. It's just we were like partying like on a. That was definitely the most partying I ever did in my life was probably 2011.
All right, well, we'll see how your memory is then. So we have 90 seconds on the clock here. You're going to have 90 seconds to answer 5 questions. They are not multiple choice. If you don't know the answer, you can say pass and we'll come back to it. But if you answer incorrectly, that question is done. So that's just your warning to answer carefully. We're going to put 90 seconds on the clock here. You ready to do this, Stat?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. In 2011, this actor directed the Tribe Called Quest documentary Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
Michael Rappaport.
That is correct. All right. This group released a concept album in
I'm in that
2011.
movie anyway. So.
Yeah. This group, we'll talk about it. This group released a concept album in 2011 in which the LP's entire story was told backwards.
In 2011, the LP story was told backward. Pass.
All right, we're going to pass. Name one of the guests featured on Kendrick Lamar's 2011 album, Section 80.
Absol.
Absol is correct. All right. Common's 9th album, The Dreamer, The Believer, was produced entirely by this producer.
Kareem Riggins?
Kareem Riggins is incorrect. It was No ID. Eminem helped this auto manufacturer create a 2011 Super Bowl ad that boosted the company's first quarter sales. What was the auto manufacturer that? It was Chrysler. Okay, we're going to go back. Who was the group that released a concept album in 2011 where the whole story was told backwards?
I probably know this too, but pass.
All right, he's going to pass. So we have reached the end here. Let's go over the questions that you got incorrect. Well, first, you got Michael Rappaport correct. Not a big fan of the Tribe doc, you were saying? So?
No, I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it. I thought you said you weren't into it. I was like, oh. Okay.
Nah, I'm in it. I'm in it multiple times. I'm in a DJing for Kanye in one scene. I'm in another scene. I'm DJing for Tip at UCLA.
That's
right. I was there for like all that arguing between Tip and Fife on Rock the Bells. Like I was there.
Oh my God.
I'm probably in like 3 scenes.
You're probably in the credits as well, right? Where they show everybody giving their shouts. The group in 2011, they put out an album where the story was told backwards. It was the Roots Undone album. It was a thing where
what? I knew that.
The song
I don't
starts,
know why the hell I didn't do
the final round. People get nervous. It's all good.
But I love that album too.
It's underrated. I definitely think so. I think a lot of people.
That joint has like Lighthouse on it, right?
Yep, Lighthouse is on there. They got the joint with Fontaine.
So at that time when Lighthouse came out, Dice Raw came over and we did a whole album and it never came out. And I don't know what's going. Like me and Dice Raw just have a whole album sitting somewhere.
Well, come on, put it out. Or is it more on Dice? Is that the issue?
No, I think it's on both of us. I gotta dig up those records.
Got it. All right, we got. You were correct. Absol was on Section 80 along with GLC, Schoolboy Q, BJ the Chicago Kid, a bunch of people. The producer who produced Common's The Dreamer, The Believer was No ID. He did all of the beats on that album.
I didn't know that. Like most of these, I knew. I didn't know No ID did that whole album because obviously I know No ID did the first couple of Common albums, but I didn't know he did that one.
Well, listen. No matter what, if we can give you a little piece of hip hop trivia to walk away with today, we've done our job. No matter what happens, you're still stat select. Like, you're going to walk away a winner from this regardless. The last question or the last answer was Eminem did a Super Bowl ad in 2011 with Chrysler. It was this whole music video dramatic thing. It was a big deal. I'm going to total up your score, but again, Stat, I want you to know that, you obviously are a champion in our hearts and our eyes. I have one more question for you. We always like to ask people who've been on the show, now that you've been in the hot seat here, who would you recommend or nominate or challenge? Who should we get on next? Who's somebody that you know that you think we should hit up to get on here?
Have you had Primo on yet? You got to get Primo.
Questlove, who's a former guest on the show, there's an interesting story. When this show first started as a live event here in LA. And the first show that we ever did, Peanut Butter Wolf and the Stones Throw staff came and they were playing live. It was like audience gets to play. And at the end of the show, Peanut Butter Wolf was still there and he pulled out his phone and he showed us his phone and he was in this group chat. He was like, I've been sending screenshots to all my friends. And it was Just Blaze and Questlove and DJ Premier. And they were all like, yo, we want to play. What the fuck is this? Fast forward like a year and a half, 2 years later, the pandemic hits and we switch to this online format now where we play with people and we don't have to wait for a Statik Selektah to come to LA. We could play with you, from the crib. We've gotten a lot of people from that group chat and Questlove has hooked it up. He got a Salam Remy. We've had Questlove. We've had Just Blaze. We have not had DJ Premier. I hit Ian once. He kind of he said, I'll let you guys know. Didn't get back. I need to follow up because we need to get Primo on this show.
Yeah, Primo is because he does this to people. Like, you'll be in the studio with him and he'll go, what do you know about this? And he does his own trivia with people.
I mean, I would say that I would probably be more intimidated having to answer hip hop trivia from DJ Premier than myself. So, but yes, I would hop at the chance. So I'm gonna clip this out. We're gonna put it in there. Primo, Statik Selektah is challenging you to come
You
on
gotta
the
do the
question.
show.
You got to do it. Did you have a good time, Stat?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
You had a good time. You learned some stuff. So you got 11 out of 15 right. I want to tell you who you're in the 11 club with, just so you know who your peers are here. Former guests of the show who have scored 11 out of 15. Marco Polo, Salam Remy, El the Sensei, J Live, Russell Peters, Chub Rock, Lyrics Born, Homeboy Sandman, Mr. C, DJ Mighty My, 7L, Kim Osorio from The Source, Diallo Riddle. I mean, the 11 Club is a great place to be, is what I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't want you to feel like a slouch. What do you have going? What do you have coming up next that you want the people to know about? I know you said you're working on the 10th album right now. What's next? What should people be on the lookout for from Stat?
I got a lot of projects coming, man. Like I'd say there's at least 7 like in the works right now. But the next big thing is my album with 2 Chainz. It's been highly anticipated for years. We're finally wrapping it up. Top of the year it'll be out. My album's following that, and then I got projects coming with a bunch of people I can't say. But in the meantime, check me out. I mean, I'm on tonight in about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm on Shade 45 every Thursday night. You can catch me on Twitch here and there throughout the week. I've been DJing a lot. I got like 4 gigs this weekend in the city here in New York, and just a lot of records coming out. Like I got a lot of placements on different people's albums that a lot of it's top secret, but some really exciting stuff coming.
Amazing. Well, we're here for all of it. Stat, I want to thank you again, not just for coming on the show, but for all of your contributions to the game. Again, just a super pivotal player in the culture, in the scene, and I really appreciate it. So thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Much love.
Thank you for everybody watching. This episode will be on YouTube in our archive, so you'll be able to watch it. And we'll see you maybe next week. We're still working out our schedule. We got some good guests coming up, so be on the lookout. Peace, love, and technical issues with your microphone, but it's all good because you know how to pivot. It's your boy Sean Kantrowitz at Sean Dammit. We will see you on the next go round. The questions, hip hop trivia, episode 111 in the books. Shout out to DJ Marquis. Shout out to Hand on the Pump. Nope. Shout out to Steve Sloan. Shout out to Jordan Thorne. Yes, Lady Sketch, John Foster, everybody in the place to be. We will be back soon. Peace.